Everyone says Jiang Jin and I are a match made in heaven. I helped him rise steadily to become a powerful minister. He promised me undivided devotion and a lifetime of prosperity. We supported each other through half a lifetime together, until I fell gravely ill and discovered the treasured imperial Lingji had been given to someone else. Only then did I learn that Jiang Jin's supposedly frail and long-deceased childhood sweetheart had been secretly kept by him in a separate residence. Living a life of luxury for half her years, and even bearing him 3 children, it turned out Jiang Jin had always loved his childhood sweetheart, Lin Chan, even though Lin Chan was shallow-minded and, during the Jiang family's crisis, had unhesitatingly abandoned him to break off their engagement. Even if Lin Chan had a heart as venomous as a snake or scorpion, and in her climb to the top, caused me to lose the first child in my womb, leaving me unable to conceive again. No matter how many wrongs Lin Chan committed, he still loved her. While I was merely the so-called right choice he made after weighing the pros and cons, when I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day Jiang Jin came to propose marriage. Hello, everyone, welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. Marrying Mr. Jiang has 2 benefits. One day the rock soars with the wind, ascending 90,000 miles in a single flight. Once I, Jiang, achieve success in the imperial examinations, I shall never forget the Jong family's kindness. In this life, you alone shall have my unwavering devotion and utmost sincerity. Secondly, Miss Jong has now reached the age for marriage. I know Miss Jong holds some affection for Mr. Jiang. Compared to those unknown men whose backgrounds are unclear and whom she has never even met, Mr. Jiang comes from a respectable family, and his temperament and character are well known. Isn't he a far better choice? Jiang Jin's expression was indifferent, his tone calm. I snapped back to reality. Was this the day Jiang Jin proposed to me? Miss Jong, not hearing my immediate response, Jiang Jin frowned. I spoke up. Marriage is a matter for parents to decide. I cannot make this choice. Jiang Jin's dark eyes were clear and cold, now gleaming with displeasure as he said, "This was my presumption. I hope Miss Jong will give me your answer after careful consideration." Without hesitation, he turned and left. The maid Chia approached anxiously, saying, "Miss, you've repeatedly rejected all the marriage proposals the master arranged for you. After finally waiting for young Master Jiang to come propose today, how could you?" Another maid, Yua, chimed in. Miss would go peek at young Master Jiang outside the schoolhouse every day, and even cried several times over his indifference. How come you seem like a completely different person now? My gaze drifted into empty space, lost in thought. Yes, how deeply the young Jong you had once loved Jiang Jin, loving him until my fingers bled from stitching, just to learn embroidering his favorite lotus, loving him enough to invent countless excuses for delivering gifts to his study, all to preserve his pride, loving him through self-discipline, striving to become the virtuous wife and mother praised by the entire capital. I whispered to myself, is Jiang Jin truly worth such devotion? Chia asked in confusion, didn't you say before, miss, that although the Jiang family has declined, young Master Jiang has lofty ambitions? He's no ordinary fish in a pond and shouldn't be underestimated. I replied calmly, Jiang Jin is indeed no ordinary man, otherwise, how could he have kept a mistress hidden so well that I never saw through it for over 40 years? Thinking of the despair and heartbreak before my illness took me, I focused and said, go find out how Jiang Jin's cousin Lin Chan is doing back in her hometown of Xinyang. There are still 2 months until the exam results are announced. In her previous life, it was at this very moment that Lin Chan appeared and clung to Jiang Jin, who was about to be married. Chia seemed to understand something and nodded, saying, all right, miss, but you don't need to worry too much. Someone as aloof as young Master Jiang, how could he possibly go back to an ex? Especially a cousin who took the initiative to break off the engagement. I looked at the branches, where sparrows were preening each other's feathers. Other men might not, but Jiang Jin, he definitely will. After freshening up, I went to see my father. In the study, watching my father painting at his desk, I suddenly recalled his worried eyes during my wedding in my previous life. Yua, although Jiang Jin is a good man, his only weakness is being overly sentimental about the past. The Lin and Jiang families broke their promise, how heartless. But today when the Lin family faces disaster, he would rather offend the emperor than let them be sentenced to death. At that time, my heart was filled with the joy of a wish fulfilled, and I asked in confusion, a noble man harbors kindness in his heart, isn't that good? Little did I know that in the future, that very shred of kindness toward others would cost me my life. Anyan, why are you standing at the study door? Father's gentle voice sounded. I snapped out of my thoughts and stepped forward. Father, your daughter has agreed to that marriage proposal. Minister Jong was stunned. But haven't you always been fond of that Jiang Jin fellow? I said. Jiang Jin was my father's student. I have always admired his knowledge and talent. Mistaking this admiration for affection, marriage is a significant matter, and one must follow the parents' wishes. The one my father has chosen for me can't be wrong. Father said with relief, it's good that you've come to understand. In my youth, I was close friends with the Prince of Huainan. The child he raised could never be as dissolute as the rumors suggest. When you marry and move to the border city, I will finally be at ease. I nodded. After returning to Lanyu courtyard, I cleared out everything related to Jiang Jin, the poems he discarded but I secretly collected. The old handkerchief he handed me when he saw my skirt was dirty. The lotus lantern he unintentionally gave me but I mistakenly took, and the countless portraits I painted of him. Every move of that young man once tugged at my heartstrings, and even as time passed and youth faded, I could never forget the breathtaking moment of our first meeting. The flames licked hungrily as I threw one item after another into the fire, watching them twist and turn before turning to ashes, feeling a twisted sense of vindictive pleasure. Take it out and bury it. I silently stared at the dark, charred remains on the ground. Chia came up with several maids to clean up. As they were about to leave with the remains, I spoke up. I'll go myself. Chia carried the remains, and together we headed to a corner of the garden. Soon a pit was dug, the debris thrown into it, and covered with soil. Its original form quickly became unrecognizable, and with that, the last lingering obsession in my heart seemed to dissipate as well. Beside this corner of the garden stood the Shengshan Academy, where my father taught. At that moment, faint voices drifted over from beyond the wall. Since that's the case, why don't you take this jade hairpin and present it as a borrowed offering to Miss Jong? A familiar, indifferent voice responded. No need. A scholar nearby sighed. Women still need to be coaxed, especially someone as delicate as Miss Jong. What if she changes her mind about marrying you? Jiang Jin declared with certainty. She will marry me. I suddenly looked up. How could Jiang Jin say such things at this moment? Truly worthy of being called Jiang the talented scholar, to have such a beauty devoted to you. Indeed, Brother Jiang is truly blessed, and that beauty in your painting. The mole between her brows, get lost. The voices gradually faded into the distance. The mole, it suddenly made me think of Lin Chan, who had one right between her eyebrows. Little did I expect that Jiang Jin had been pining for her from such an early time. In the previous life, Lin Chan was forced into an unhappy marriage in her hometown. It wasn't until she heard the news of Jiang Jin's success in the imperial examinations that she came to the capital to seek him out. To deal with this distant cousin, I endured so much suffering. It wasn't until I lost my first child to a miscarriage because of her that Jiang Jin finally flew into a rage and drove her away. Little did I expect that years later she would be kept as a hidden mistress again, appearing in another villa only discovered just before my death. I said indifferently, send someone to investigate Jiang Jinyuan's cousin in his hometown of Shenyang. My tone was exceptionally calm as I added, and have someone keep a close watch on her. In this lifetime, I willingly stepped aside to let Jiang Jin be with his beloved, just to see if he could still achieve smooth official advancement like in his previous life. In the following days, I busied myself with other matters. The wedding date with the Yu family from the border town had been set, and their betrothal gifts arrived in grand procession. Meanwhile, our household was bustling with preparations for the dowry, wedding dress, and all related matters. The Yu family showed considerable sincerity, not only sending generous betrothal gifts but also dispatching several highly skilled embroiderers. When things got busy here, I kept neglecting Jiang Jin's repeated letters, until one day when I was stopped while passing through the garden. Zhong Yu, why have you been standing me up? Jiang Jin stood in the courtyard, his expression cold, yet it only accentuated his noble bearing. I gazed at him and said, Young Master Jiang, you've misunderstood. I have no intention of marrying you. Are you still angry that I didn't give you that jade pendant? Jiang Jin's sword-like brows furrowed slightly. I've never liked the spoiled, petty temperaments of the noble women in the capital. Since you claim to admire me, you should learn to restrain yourself in the future. This jade pendant is a keepsake left by my late mother. I cannot give it to you, I said coldly, since young Master Jiang has so much free time. Perhaps you should spend it painting more portraits of your cousin, rather than coming here to explain yourself to me. Jiang Jin froze, his earlobes tinged with a faint red. He patiently explained, I paint portraits only to find someone. She is merely a relative of mine. Then he took out a jade hairpin from his sleeve, softening his tone. Though I cannot give you this twinfish jade pendant, I offer you this hairpin instead. A white jade hairpin carved with lotus blossoms was presented before me. I felt suspicious had this happened in my previous life, yet I had never liked lotuses to begin with, neither had the young Jiang Jin. In Jiang Jin's previous life, even after 50 years together, he never once learned what kind of flowers I liked. The one who truly loved lotus flowers was Lin Chan. I raised my hand and knocked away the lotus hairpin before me. With a crisp sound, the white jade fell to the ground. Shattering into several pieces, Jiang Jin looked utterly stunned. In the past, I treasured everything he gave me, even a plain handkerchief. Never would I have treated anything like this, I said calmly. My hand slipped. Chia, find out how much it costs and compensate young Master Jiang. Chia acknowledged the order. Jiang Jin's expression turned even colder. When did you become so ignorant of the people's hardships, just because of your baseless jealousy and wild suspicions? You'd smash this hairpin. Do you know how long 2 taels of silver could feed a poor family? I replied calmly. No matter how long it lasts, isn't it just a tool young Master Jiang uses to charm women? What's the matter? Can you spend it? But I can't. The atmosphere froze. Just then, the matron came out of the room with several maids. I wondered where the young miss had gone. So you're here. The embroiderer has delivered the wedding dress, waiting for the young lady to return and try it on. At the mention of the wedding dress, Jiang Jin's eyes flickered, his cold expression softening slightly. So you've already begun preparations. Ignoring him, I turned to the nanny. All right, I'll be right back. Shifting my gaze back to Jiang Jin, I said, Young Master Jiang, I have matters to attend to and must take my leave. He slightly lifted his chin, his eyes regaining their calm composure. Jong, as the future matriarch of the Jiang family, my wife must be virtuous and dignified. Noble beyond compare. No matter how early you prepare for the wedding, it's useless. I'll only agree to marry you when you've properly reformed that temper of yours. Jiang Jin turned and left with a flick of his sleeve. The matron beside me looked astonished. Since when has young Master Jiang become so audacious? Moreover, what does Mrs. marriage arrangement with young Master you have to do with him? My suspicions grew stronger. No matter how arrogant Jiang Jin might be, he wouldn't be so certain that I could only marry him. Could it be that he too, suppressing my doubts, I instructed someone to keep an eye on his and Lin Chan's every move? If Jiang Jin had also been reborn, he surely wouldn't stand idly by regarding Lin Chan's plight in Xinyang's old family home. Returning to the courtyard, the matron brought out the wedding dress, her face beaming with joy. Would the young lady like to try it on? I was momentarily lost in thought. The wedding dress before me was exquisitely crafted, like rosy clouds, and fit perfectly when worn. However, the embroiderer was exceptionally meticulous. After a careful inspection, she decided to make a few detailed adjustments, apart from the wedding dress. The elderly matron from the border town inquired about my preferences for many details of the wedding ceremony before making arrangements. There weren't many other matters for me to worry about. In my leisure time, I would lie on the rattan chair in the courtyard, enjoying the lychees my father had bought at great expense. The summer light and shadows swayed on the ground with the breeze. The cicadas chirping on the branches came and went intermittently. Chia suddenly remarked, "It's been so long since I've seen the young lady looking so leisurely." My hand, which had been turning the pages, paused as I asked pensively, "What was I doing before?" After some thought, Chia replied, "It seems you were always revolving around young Master Jiang, either racking your brains to send him gifts or pondering his preferences." To be honest, Chia never quite understood it. Why did the young lady suddenly let go of young Master Jiang? I closed the book and gazed at the blue sky. People must always learn to forgive themselves. Having been raised in the Jong family's lap of luxury since childhood, I'd come to believe everything could be obtained through sheer will, but I forgot that the human heart is the most complex of all. In my past life, I spent my entire existence as the matriarch of the Jiang family, diligent and never daring to slack off, though outwardly glorious, when I lay bedridden with illness. Even the imperial bestowed elixir was given away by Jiang Jin to someone else. How utterly ironic. Even more ironic was that I developed chronic illness because of Lin Chan, leaving me unable to bear children, yet she hid away in a separate courtyard, sharing a lifetime of love with Jiang Jin and bearing him 3 daughters. Even my adopted son was in on it. Without waiting for my death, he began planning to marry Lin Chan's daughter and inherit the vast Jiang estate. I once mustered my failing strength to confront Jiang Jin. Is she truly that much better, even better than me, the Jiang family matriarch who toiled all her life? Jiang Jin replied indifferently, I've given you all the wealth and honors you could desire in this lifetime, even an official title. Chana has suffered so much hardship, yet still has no status to this day. What more could you possibly want? I owe her too much, it's already my greatest regret." Within a few days, news came from outside the mansion. Jiang Jin indeed sent someone to his hometown in Xinjiang, searching for a cousin named Lin Chan with a portrait in hand. However, his influence was limited, and there was no news yet. Jiang Jin was indeed reborn. Chia asked, "Should we stop him?" I curled my lips. "No. Have someone help Lin Chan break off the engagement. Tell her that her cousin is about to pass the imperial exams, and arrange for him to be brought to the capital, in this lifetime. I shall fulfill all his so-called regrets. Let's see if that satisfies him." Spring light composes the prelude, as all things join in harmony. In this warm season, the imperial examination results were finally announced. As expected, Jiang Jin achieved the highest honor in the imperial examinations, becoming the top scholar. The young champion, having triumphed in all 3 levels of the exams, paraded through the streets in celebration, basking in boundless glory. By coincidence, I had taken Chia out to buy rouge and caught the tail end of the festivities. Jiang Jin, mounted on a tall steed, spotted me among the crowd in an instant. His eyes flickered with a subtle ripple, like clouds parting to reveal blossoms. He reined in his horse and spoke with arrogant pride. "Miss Jong, Jiang has fulfilled his promise. Our marriage can finally proceed as we wished. I also hope you will henceforth correct your extravagant and indulgent ways, abandoning lavish feasts, so you may properly serve as the matriarch of the Jiang household." On the long street, the surrounding commoners whispered among themselves after hearing the news. The top scholar already has a marriage arrangement. Master Jong is the top scholar's mentor. Marrying his mentor's daughter would indeed make for a fine story. No wonder the Jong family has been buying so much red silk and wedding candles in the streets these days. So it's for such joyous news, a perfect match of talent and beauty. Some people also questioned, the Jong family started preparing for the wedding so early, so why has there been no word about it until now? The parade of the top scholar continued, while I alone was drowned in gossip. Chia supported me, steering clear of the bustling crowd, and exclaimed in shock, "How could this Mr. Jiang be like this? He clearly didn't go to the master to propose marriage, speaking out of turn like this. Isn't he ruining the young lady's reputation? Don't pay him any mind. In any case, I'll be leaving this place in a few days." My expression remained calm, but my eyes were filled with undisguised mockery. After all, in my past life, when Jiang Jin proposed to me as a commoner, I rejected all other marriage offers. I pestered my father for half a month and even resorted to starving myself before he finally agreed to let me marry him. Now he's still so confident about this marriage. I wonder if his expression will remain so pleasant in the days to come. I took Chia home with me, yet as soon as I reached the doorstep, I saw from afar a crowd gathered outside the Jong residence, which was draped in bright red silk. I stepped forward. At the center of the crowd, a slender woman keenly noticed my arrival. She immediately burst into tears, crawling on her knees toward me in an attempt to cling to my leg, but was stopped by those around her. "Miss Jong, I know you are to be cousin's principal wife in the future. Chana is of humble birth and dares not compete with you for cousin's affection. I only beg for the position of a concubine to stay by his side. Chana and cousin were originally betrothed, but knowing myself unworthy of him, I dared not hinder his future. Now the stepmother, driven by greed, is forcing me to marry a man over 70 years old. Miss Jong, you are a lady of official rank, clothed in fine silks and fed with delicacies, with a kind heart. Chana only seeks a place to belong. I beg for your mercy." The woman before me wept pitifully, her appearance utterly heartrending. The crowd of onlookers grew larger. A place to stay, would that be the position of a concubine? Lin Chan's eyes flashed with joy, yet she feigned sorrow as she said, "If Miss Jong is unwilling, I could serve as a maidservant instead." I curled my lips in amusement. "Your cousin's marriage isn't even settled yet, and you're already pressing like this. In the future, what woman in the capital would dare marry him?" Lin Chan wiped her tears. "Miss Jong, Chana means no harm. I only beg for my life. If Miss Jong cannot tolerate me, I'd rather die than marry that old man." With that, she pretended to dash toward the pillar. It's never a good thing for an unmarried woman to gain a reputation for driving someone to their death. Lin Chan was so certain that I would stop her, but I'd seen this act in my previous life. When Lin Chan pulled this stunt, it was even on my wedding day, turning what should have been a glorious occasion into a laughingstock across the capital and bringing shame upon the Jong household. This time around, seeing the calculation in the woman's eyes before me, I curled my lips slightly. When did I ever say I would marry your cousin? Miss Lin must have come to the wrong person. If you want to die, you can't die at the gates of my Jong residence. Drag her aside. Lin Chan thought I was just speaking in anger. With all these red silks decorating the courtyard, clearly wedding preparations are underway. Why must Miss Jong be so stubborn with her words? Several servants stepped forward and forcibly pulled her aside. Seeing that I remained unmoved and she had been cast out onto the street, a struggle flashed in Lin Chan's eyes before she stood up. Miss Jong, can you truly not tolerate even a concubine? If that's the case, I have no choice but to die. As she spoke, she threw herself against the nearby wall. The crowd gasped in shock as they saw blood seeping from her forehead, her slender body swaying before she collapsed weakly. Someone's dying, a voice cried out in alarm. Miss Jong appears so virtuous and gentle, how could she be this jealous? Indeed, marrying such a woman would make even taking a concubine impossible. The top scholar will have a hard time ahead. Many people sympathized with Lin Chan on the ground, looking at me with disdain. I watched it all with a cold smile. In my past life, people said the same about me. It was clearly Jiang Jin who sought marriage by promising a lifetime of devotion, using my Zhong family to pave his political path. Yet somehow it became my debt to him. Soon, the farce here spread outside. Jiang Jin rushed over, still clad in his bright red court robes. Seeing Lin Chan collapsed on the ground, a trace of urgency flickered across his brow as he quickly stepped forward and gathered her into his arms. Channa, why must you be so foolish? Hurry, go fetch the physician. The frail Lin Chan weakly lifted her gaze to me. Cousin, I was the one who bumped into it. It's not Miss Jong's fault. Jiang Jin's phoenix eyes turned toward me, his expression inscrutable. I said pointedly, Jiang Jin, though Lin Chan was once your fiancé, when your family fell into decline, it was the Lin family who initiated the withdrawal of the engagement, and it was my Zhong family that aided you, which led to your current prosperity. A trace of ferocity flashed across Jiang Jin's calm expression as he gritted his teeth. So you're saying my 20 years of arduous study by snowlit window and firefly light were entirely dependent on your Zhong family? I neither confirmed nor denied it. Lying in Jiang Jin's arms, Lin Chan anxiously explained, Cousin, it wasn't my intention to break off the engagement. You know how my stepmother is so mercenary. Back when the Jiang family lost power, she was desperate to sell me for the highest price, which is why she forced me to break off the engagement. I prayed day and night at the temple, worrying about you, cousin. That's how I fell ill. Cough cough. Lin Chan's face grew even paler. Jiang Jin's voice tightened. I know how hard it was for you. I don't blame you. The physician arrived in hurried steps, and several people carried Lin Chan to the medical clinic. After admiring the heartfelt exchange between the two, I was about to enter the residence when someone called out to me, Jong Yu, Lin Chan lost her birth mother early. And her stepmother is greedy for money, caring only for profit. She has had a very difficult life since childhood, but she is my cousin. Please do me the favor and don't push her into a corner like you did today. Jiang Jin's tone was icy. I smiled faintly. Her hardships in life have nothing to do with me. Jiang Jin said coldly, if you can't even show kindness to a cousin after entering our household, what reputation will you have left, since this is your first offense? I'll forgive you, provided you offer a proper apology to Channa when she wakes up. I pointed at my own nose. Me, seeking your forgiveness. Jiang Jin, what kind of joke is this? From beginning to end, I never once said the man I'd marry would be you. Who else could it be but me? Jiang Jin simply thought I was being petulant. The heir of Prince Yunnan from Bianqing, you Mingyang. Jiang Jin dismissed it with a wave. I know your temperament, you've never liked those noble lords. But what you did today was truly excessive. I'll only come to marry you after you've properly apologized to Channa. I found it somewhat amusing. After being reborn, how had Jiang Jin developed this new flaw of arrogant obstinacy, this refusal to listen? Seeing this, I didn't bother to explain further. I turned and entered the residence, shutting the crowd outside the gates. With the wedding approaching soon, why should I trouble myself with others' affairs? Moreover, having laid the groundwork to this extent, every family in the capital with marriageable daughters could now clearly see Lin Chan's true character. As for Jiang Jin's entanglement with her, no young lady of decent standing would choose him anymore, without the support of his father-in-law's family. Given Jiang Jin's aloof and proud nature that often offended others, it was uncertain how far he could go in the imperial court. The 7th day of the 4th month, an auspicious date. I changed into a golden embroidered celestial silk wedding dress, adorned with a phoenix crown inlaid with precious jade, and was helped onto the bridal sedan. The The wedding procession flowed like a meandering river through the bustling streets of the capital, with the sound of traditional music filling every lane and alley. Father escorted me outside the city walls. Through my bridal veil, I faintly saw the neatly arranged wedding procession across the way, and couldn't help feeling a twinge of melancholy. Lord, my daughter has been cherished and pampered since childhood. If you dare mistreat her, I will not let you off easily. Father's loud declaration rang out from outside. Another man's voice, calm as flowing water, responded, "This son-in-law shall not fail your trust." The bridal sedan was lifted, its beaded curtains swaying. At our parting, my father exhorted me, "Daughter, if you suffer any grievances, come home. I'll surely not let that boy off lightly." My vision already blurred, I answered hoarsely, "Yes, your daughter will certainly not endure in silence." Then I raised my head, gazing through those blurred, swaying bead strands at the silhouette backlit upon the horse. This side was filled with joyous atmosphere, while the other end of the long street remained unusually quiet. Jiang had just stepped out of the medical clinic, carrying a bundle of herbs as he hurried back to his residence. Although he had achieved the top honors in the imperial examinations, the emperor had yet to assign him an official position. His recent expenses had been covered by congratulatory gifts from those who came to curry favor. However, since Lin Chan arrived, first for her recovery, then for daily necessities, it seemed these funds were never quite enough. Jiang consoled himself, thinking that once he married Jong, he wouldn't have to worry too much about anything. After all, the Jong family had a substantial fortune and only one daughter. With a son-in-law like him, a true dragon among men, they would never be stingy with their resources. Thinking of their past married life, Jiang found himself growing more patient. Although Jong inevitably carried some of the willfulness of a young lady from the capital, she was gentle and considerate toward him, offering warmth that he, having suffered great family upheavals since childhood, had rarely known. In their previous life, her melancholy demise had indeed been his fault. In this lifetime, he would discuss matters properly with her, compensate Lin Chan what was due, and once she found a good home, he would devote himself wholeheartedly to her. But he hadn't walked far when he saw the joyful faces of commoners lining the streets. They held copper coins and wedding candies in their hands. Vividly describing how grand the bridal procession had been moments ago, Jiang recognized at a glance that the candies in their hands were pine nut sweets, Zhong Yu's favorite. Whose daughter is getting married with such a grand ceremony? Better ask now, perhaps when it's my turn to marry. I'll need to seek advice from others. So Jiang spoke up. Whose wedding is this? One of them replied, "It's the eldest Miss Jong from the Jong family." Jiang thought he must have misheard. So he asked again, "The Jong family? Which Jong family?" The man replied impatiently, "Is there a second Jong family in the capital? The daughter of Assistant Grand Secretary Zhong Fengye, Miss Zhong Yu." Jiang staggered, grabbing the man's collar tightly as he pressed. "How is that possible? You're lying to me. How could Zhong Yu marry someone else?" The man grew furious and shoved him away. "What madness is this? Look at your shabby self. If she didn't marry someone else, would she marry you? Miss Jong is marrying the only non-royal prince in our great Li kingdom, the heir of Prince Yunnan. What an exalted status that is." Jiang face drained of all color, his eyes bloodshot as he roared hoarsely, "That's not true, you're lying to me." The man rolled his eyes at him. "Magistrate Jong is hosting 7 days of banquet feasts to celebrate his daughter's marriage. Judging by your appearance, you've probably never tasted fine food. If you go now, you might still catch the midday feast." The herbal medicine pouch was carelessly thrown on the ground, trampled underfoot. Jiang stumbled and staggered as he ran towards the Zhong residence. The Zhong residence was bustling with activity, with an endless stream of banquets stretching from inside the mansion to the courtyard outside. Every seat was filled, and everyone wore smiles, offering auspicious words. Miss Jong is peerless in grace and beauty, and the heir is noble and majestic. This marriage is truly a match made in heaven. Jiang's gaze searched until he finally spotted Zhong Fengye chatting and laughing with others. Disregarding propriety, he rushed forward abruptly. "Lord Zhong." Zhong Fengye turned his head, his smile fading slightly. "Ah, it's the top scholar." Jiang clenched his fingers until they turned white, asking with desperate hope, "My lord, is the bride today?" "Zhong Fengye gave a faint smile. "Do you think I have any other daughters?" Jiang felt as if something was tightly gripping his throat, and it took him a long while to force out the words. "How is this possible? Shouldn't Zhong Yu be marrying me?" Zhong Fengye's expression darkened instantly. "Mind your words, young Master Jiang." He glanced around, relieved that no one had overheard. then moved to a secluded spot and lowered his voice. Young Master Jiang, regardless of what happened between you and my daughter, she is now married and gone to the borderlands. There is no longer any connection between you. Let the past remain as fleeting clouds, do not dwell on it any further. Jiang Jin's body trembled as if something had struck his heart violently, even his breath caught in his throat. How could this be, sir? I've been your student for 4 years. You clearly knew Jong you favored me, and I've expressed my feelings to her too. Why would she, unless she's still angry with me and deliberately set this up with you to mock me? Zhong Fengye nearly laughed in exasperation. Yes, my daughter once favored you, but did you ever truly favor her? You treated her coldly, let her down, you didn't even bother to visit me in person to discuss the marriage proposal. Where's your sincerity? But my daughter was too foolish. She stubbornly chased after you for 3 years, unmoved no matter how many promising young men I introduced to her. I was ready to compromise. She's my only daughter, and if she was happy, I could let her have her way. But on the Lantern Festival, just because my daughter asked for your jade pendant and you refused, you abandoned her in the crowd and left. When she returned, she burned with fever for 3 whole days. When she woke again, she finally agreed to the marriage I proposed. Jiang Jin pressed a hand to his chest, where sharp, unrelenting pain throbbed. He opened his mouth to explain the Lantern Festival, the jade pendant incident. He had known nothing of it. When he returned to this world, the first thing he did was seek out Zhongyu to propose, wanting to make amends for the mistakes of his past life. Yet Zhongyu was too proud, and he had resolved to temper her stubbornness. After all, in their previous life, she had changed for him too. Now, he only wished for her transformation to come a little sooner. How had things gone so awry, leading to such a drastic change? No, I must find her. Jiang Jin's gaze was resolute. They had been husband and wife for decades, a match envied by all as a celestial union, and he had long grown accustomed to this home of theirs. As he pondered, a clamor arose from outside. It seemed to be a woman's anguished cry. Miss Jong, I know today is your wedding to my cousin, and I shouldn't be here to disturb you, but my family is pressuring me relentlessly. If you won't let me become my cousin's concubine, I'll dash my head against the ground right here. Someone asked. Who is your cousin? Lin Chan wiped her tears. My cousin is the newly crowned top scholar, Jiang Jin, someone remarked. But the one marrying Miss Jong isn't the top scholar, it's young Master Yu. Before anything could be stopped, Jiang Jin's mind went blank with a buzzing sound. In the previous life, this same scene had played out, ending with Zhongyu compromising and allowing Lin Chan to temporarily stay in the side courtyard as his cousin. He walked out. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lin Chan remained sprawled on the ground in a tantrum, her eyes still red from crying. Only now, her expression was one of utter bewilderment. Many piercing gazes turned their way. He heard someone say, this newly appointed top scholar bringing people to make a scene at the Jong family's wedding banquet is truly absurd. Thank goodness the Jong family's young lady married someone else, otherwise who knows what suffering she might have endured, before even taking office. He's already caused such a scandal and treated his benefactor like this. It seems his official career has come to an end. Jiang Jin felt the world spinning around him. How has everything become so different? The wedding procession took 3 days to finally reach the border town. During these 3 days, I had several encounters with Mingyang. With his striking beauty, his peach blossom eyes always seemed to carry a hint of affection, his faint smile playing at his lips. Faced with this face more exquisite than most women's, I silently concluded in my heart, another spoiled young master. Fortunately, the people of the border town were more welcoming than I had imagined. And the old Prince Yu and his consort were also easier to get along with than I had expected. I no longer sought unrealistic things as I had in the past. A playboy is just a playboy as long as he doesn't provoke me. Peaceful coexistence is fine. The only thing was, I couldn't quite grasp Yu Mingyang's stance on the arranged marriage. Thankfully, he maintained impeccable decorum. In front of the old prince and his consort, we acted as naturally as an ordinary couple, but in private, Yu Mingyang was always courteous, even sleeping on the other side of the room on a daybed at night. Late at night, all was quiet. Listening to the breathing of others in the room, I tossed and turned. To escape the predetermined fate of my past life, I made this choice. Though I don't know if it's right, I can only hope for peace. Lost in wild thoughts, I closed my eyes. When I woke again, no one was by my side. Chia came in holding incense, smiling as she said, the young master said the young mistress hasn't been sleeping well at night, so he specially had this calming incense sent over. The incense was lit, its smoke curling upward, and I found its fragrance quite unique. Where is the young master? I asked. Chia covered her mouth with a laugh. After all these days, the young mistress finally asks about the young master's whereabouts. I glared at her helplessly. Led by other attendants, I arrived at a place called Tianxiang Pavilion. The decor here was uniquely styled. The first floor felt like being transported to a mountain forest, with strange rocks partitioning the space and vines hanging like curtains for privacy. At the center stage, several dancers swayed their slender waists. Looking around, I was guided to the highest level, the fourth floor. The person in charge spoke respectfully. "Madam, the young master is right here." Having said that, he withdrew. This floor was quieter compared to the ones below. I stepped on the wooden floor and walked forward. Before long, I heard the sound of women's laughter. I frowned deeply. Could you Mingyang be indulging in pleasure here? Yet my heart suddenly felt lighter. This meant I'd finally caught this playboy's weakness. Just then, the door opposite opened, and 3 stunningly beautiful women stepped out. "Greetings, princess consort." Their gazes at me were quite awkward, and I could only nod faintly in response. It must be said that Yu Mingyang had excellent taste. Each of these women was undeniably beautiful. But really, could he handle them all? Before I could process the situation, Yu Mingyang's voice rang out, "All of you, leave." The women filed out one by one, their varied fragrances lingering in the air, making me yawn. Yu Mingyang's crimson robes made his complexion appear snowier. With a faint smile, he said, "Why not come in?" After some thought, I stepped inside. The room wasn't as debauched as I'd imagined. Instead, a light incense burned, its soothing fragrance calming the mind. I spoke first. "I won't tell the old prince." He raised an eyebrow. I continued, "There's no affection between us. This marriage is just to appease our families, if possible. I hope we can maintain a facade as husband and wife while leaving each other undisturbed. I won't interfere with your romantic pursuits, and you won't pry into my affairs." Romantic pursuits. Yu Mingyang tilted his head. My heart tightened. Why did he appear so composed? Could it be that the old prince had long known his son's true nature, and didn't even wish to maintain appearances in the future? Yu Mingyang chuckled lightly. "You are my properly wedded princess consort. Why would I settle for a marriage in name only with you?" I pointed at the room full of rouge and powder. "Then why act like this without any regard for my dignity? Aren't you afraid of the Jong family?" Yu Mingyang crossed his arms with a frank smile. "I'm afraid I haven't mentioned this to you yet. Madam, I dabble in small businesses during my leisure, cosmetics, perfumes, jewelry. This place is where my partners and I research fragrances." My expression remained cold. Even so, for a noble heir to spend prolonged periods alone with so many women in one room, surely that's improper. Yu Mingyang's face grew even more mischievous. "Women, though their hobbies may be somewhat peculiar, they can hardly be called women." I froze. I never expected those so-called women were actually men. They were only dressed as women because they lost a bet with Yu Mingyang and had to try the newly released face powder. Since I had already spoken rashly and revealed my intentions prematurely, seeing this, I stopped pretending and simply spoke up. "Your Highness, I'd like to make a deal with you." Yu Mingyang raised his eyes with keen interest. I said, "At your establishment, young master. Whether it's rouge and powder or perfumes and jewelry, everything is excellent, only the designs are lacking. Having spent many years in the capital, I'm well acquainted with the most fashionable styles of each season. I also have some small ideas of my own and, following my preferences, have had jewelry shops craft many designs for me. If I could provide you with designs for perfumes and jewelry, your business would surely double." The playful glint in Yu Mingyang's peach blossom eyes faded, replaced by a hint of seriousness. I continued, "After all, my designs are highly sought after by nobles in the capital." Yu Mingyang smiled and asked, "Then what must I give in return?" I replied earnestly, "I wish to make a 5-year agreement with the heir. During these 5 years, I will provide jewelry designs and cosmetic color schemes free of charge. Moreover, I will fulfill my duties as the heir's consort before the old prince and princess consort to the best of my ability. But after 5 years, regardless of the reason, I hope the heir will let me leave." Yu Mingyang's long lashes fluttered slightly. "Have I displeased you so much that you wish to leave like this?" I shook my head. "This matter isn't about whether the heir is good or bad, it's just that I've been trapped in a cage for too long, and my heart yearns for freedom." The wind rustled the window lattice, lifting the dark hair of the person before me slightly as he nodded gently. "Very well." After laying bare our true feelings, my interactions with Yu Mingyang became much more harmonious. Before the old prince and princess, we appeared as a loving couple, harmonious and blissful. Even when questioned about having children, Yu Mingyang managed to finesse the situation for me. Outside the prince's residence, I devoted myself to studying jewelry, perfumes, and other items beloved by women. The designs I sketched for accessories, once crafted by artisans, were met with fervent admiration from women. Over time, I earned the nickname Master Cease the Sketch, for whenever my new creations were released, countless women would empty their purses and lament, "Better stop drawing." During these days, I've grown much more familiar with the people of Qianxiang Pavilion. Mingyang's business ventures extend far beyond this. The second pavilion master is a man of few words, overseeing mineral smelting. The third pavilion master speaks with refined elegance and manages maritime shipping. The fourth pavilion master, who adores wearing women's clothing, has a lifelong wish to see Mingyang dressed in feminine attire. He's in charge of the women's jewelry and cosmetics division. My life is peaceful and stable, everything is just fine, until the summer solstice. A letter arrived from my father. The letter said that Jiang had resigned from his official post and was coming to find me. Over the past year or two, Jiang's official career had not gone smoothly. First, because of the scandal during my wedding, he had no choice but to take Lin Chan as his concubine, and no noble families in the capital were willing to marry their daughters to him after that. Although Jiang possessed some talent, his excessive arrogance quickly made him unpopular among his colleagues, leading to his demotion to a small town as a county magistrate. Rumors spread that he indulged in nightly revelries, frequently bringing different musicians home, which caused Lin Chan to weep and make scenes, turning the household upside down. Later, when Lin Chan ruined several of his potential marriages with noblewomen, Jiang, in a fit of anger, threatened to write a letter of divorce. In response, Lin Chan simply took all the gold and silver and fled. I wrote home to reassure my father. Now that I'm the crown princess, Jiang can't afford to offend me easily. Even if he comes looking for me, he won't be able to make waves. Besides, I have Mingyang by my side. The carrier pigeon had just flown away when Mingyang returned, holding a sprig of begonia in his hand. "The color suits you perfectly," he smiled lazily, tucking the begonia into my hair by my temple. As his warm breath drew near, I instinctively wanted to step back, but he gently pressed my shoulder. "Don't move," he said. "My mother is watching from behind." I suddenly understood, and as I raised my head, my lips happened to brush against his lowered cheek. A tingling warmth spread through my heart, and only after the old princess consort behind me had left did I hurriedly take a step back. I consoled myself, thinking Mingyang was well versed in matters of the heart and likely wouldn't mind. But when I looked up again, the earlobe of the person before me was even more vivid than the begonia flower in my hair. My embarrassment faded, replaced by a faint smile. The 5-year agreement soon came to an end. Mingyang kept his word and let me go. Over the years, we had been allies, family, and even something akin to close friends. His willingness was something I had expected. At our parting, I laughed and said, "After I've seen all the mountains and rivers of this world, and found the life I truly want to live, perhaps I can still return to share a drink with the air." In the faint morning light, his peach blossom eyes held a trace of melancholy as he replied, "Very well, then I shall look forward to seeing if Ouyu's drinking capacity has improved." After this heartfelt farewell, I suppressed the reluctance in my heart and rode away. Yet just a few days later in a tea house, I looked up and unexpectedly met a pair of smiling eyes. Mingyang, how did you get here?" After a dazed moment, I finally dared to believe the person before me was truly him. Mingyang's eyes were like peach blossoms, his brows like distant mountains, the jade hair ribbon tied high swaying gently in the spring breeze. You have lofty aspirations and wish to see the landscapes of this world. Coincidentally, I also want to explore business opportunities elsewhere. Why not travel together?" Falling into those ink-black eyes, I seemed to see a tranquil lake I'd long sought, a clear reflection of my truest self. I smiled faintly. "All right, then let's go together." In life, it's rare to find a true friend, even rarer to have one by your side. With such a companion, this life is like an empty boat on vast waters. Wherever we go, the world is ours to roam freely.